Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we are talking about the top 10 New York City scary urban legends. I especially love Manhattan and Brooklyn, but I do love all of New York. I liked visiting Coney Island as well, very cool. For me, a city with some seaside, absolute thumbs up. Before we swing into this video, why don't you guys let me know what your favorite city is? Also, while you're down there, why don't you leave a thumbs up on this video? And if you guys want to connect with me on social media, my link is in the description box. Okay, New York City. Honestly, I found so many urban legends here that we could easily make a part 2. Coming in at number 10, we have Felgate Bridge. I mean, if you're gonna name your bridge Felgate Bridge, you really are asking for trouble. In fairness, the bridge is named after the tidal strait it crosses in the East River, but still. Know what sounds like Hellgate? Felgate. Rename that bridge. The bridge connects Queens to Randall's Island, and it is an on-brand red color. There are a number of urban legends connected to the bridge, including rumors of a killer lurking beneath its arches. However, the main legends here surround the ghost trains. According to local lore, the bridge is haunted by an old train whose passengers are the city's damned. Those who find themselves on the bridge at night report seeing strange lights thundering towards them before they disappear. Others report seeing old, battered trains floating over the river. The legend says that the carriages are filled with people who have lost their lives in the water. Now, these range from murder victims, people who have fallen short of the mafia, suicide jumpers, and historic Dutch explorers. They sit together on the weirdest train ride of all time. Coming in at number 9, we have the legend of Cropsey. Cropsey is Staten Island's very own boogeyman, but the legend coincides with some real-life terrifying stuff. Now, Cropsey was rumored to be a killer with a hook for a hand who had escaped from a mental institution and hunted children. Cropsey was said to live in an old abandoned asylum, the Willbrook Mental Institution. He would then come out late at night and steal children off the streets, torturing them with his hook. In other variants of the story, he would have a bloody axe. Whichever the way it was told, he was out there. Parents would use Cropsey to warn kids not to miss their curfews. Others would use him to tease one another at sleepovers. Sadly, the legend became mixed up in reality in the 1970s and 80s when Staten Island children really started to disappear. Andre Rand started working at the Willowbrook State School, a school for children with learning disabilities that turned out to actually be a very awful and unnurturing place for many reasons. Rand worked there and he abducted and murdered 5 children. He was finally caught in 1987 when a young girl with Down syndrome, Jennifer Schweiger, went missing. According to an acclaimed documentary on the subject, Rand may have been involved in Satanism and was possibly killing the children as ritual sacrifices. Coming into number 8, this city has 8 million rats. NYC dwellers will tell you that the population of rats will soon outnumber the population of people living in the 5 boroughs. Rats, of course, are terrifying for a good number of reasons. They're vermin, they're unclean, they spread disease. Hello, plague anyone? While there are a whole load of rats living in New York City, there's actually around 1 rat to every 4 dwellers, so around 2 million rats, which is a lot of rats, but not 8 million. There will only ever be one pizza rat though, so shout out to him. We could actually do a whole top 10 on the various legends of New York City rats. Some people even think that giant or mutant rats are running riot down there. Cool. Coming into number 7, we have the ghost ship of the Hudson River. The Hudson River separates New York and New Jersey and runs all the way from the ocean up to Albany. The river is an iconic part of New York City and has urban legends of its very own. One popular story is the legend of the Half Moon, the famous ship sailed by Henry Hudson, the namesake of the river. Hudson was lost at sea in 1611, although his ship is sometimes spotted sailing the famous river. One man named Samuel was fishing along the Hudson one evening before a storm when he saw a wooden ship with 3 empty masts. Samuel was confused as he had never seen a boat like this in his life, and he said it drifted 50 feet away from him before disappearing. It seems the legend goes that the half moon is only spotted when times are rough on the river. It serves as a warning for people to stay on dry land until the bad weather passes. Coming into number 6, we have the buried treasure of Liberty Island. Here be treasure and ghosts. Captain William Kidd was a Scottish pirate who sailed on many an adventure, but he was especially known for his illicit activity around New York City. The famous pirate was said to have stashed a boatload of bounty on Liberty Island, which in those days existed without its famous statue and was called Bedloe Island. After his death in 1701 for piracy, people started looking for Captain Kidd's loot. 2 soldiers, Gibbs and Carpenter, went to look for the treasure. They literally thought they'd struck gold when they came across a wooden chest. Before they could open it, they were set upon by what they described as a demon with black skin, horns, and wings. This evil apparition is said to guard the treasure to this day and still stalks Liberty Island at night. Wonder what Lady Libs feels about her neighbor. Coming into number 5, we have killer pennies off the Empire State Building. Ever heard the one about people throwing pennies or cents off the Empire State? With the momentum they pick up from being dropped at such a height, they can allegedly kill innocent people standing below. This is a very popular Manhattan urban legend and genuinely makes people nervous when walking around the base of the iconic building. This is just a scare story though. It's an urban legend. A penny's terminal velocity, the fastest it can fall through air, is 25 miles per hour. Now even when dropped at 1,250 feet, it wouldn't kill someone on the ground. It would hurt for sure, but it wouldn't kill. To be honest, there are so many safety precautions these days that it is very unlikely anyone would be able to launch a projectile off the top of the building. Coming into number 4, we have this secret bunker. I love me a tin hat conspiracy. Legend has it that there is 500 square acres of subterranean city 100 feet under Central Park. Theorists call this secret bunker the Manhattan Project, although I don't know if they know that that name was already taken. These theorists though do think that the secret project predates the atomic bomb, so maybe. To accompany the theory, there is a rather in-depth website that claims that the bunker was built in 1853 and there is still active use going on down there. The site shows picture evidence of the bunker and its clandestine entrances around the park. The site also claims that the bunker is the property of the US government and that both Tsar Nicholas, the overthrown king of Russia, and Adolf Hitler were rescued and lived out their lives there. Hitler under Central Park. Cool. Oh, did I say Tsar Nicholas and Hitler and forgot to mention the aliens? Right. Also, it seems that the Roswell aliens were supposed to have lived down there too. Cool. Sure. Keeping it in Central Park, we have the legend of the ice skating sisters at number 3. This urban legend dates back to a pair of siblings, the Van der Voot sisters, who lived with their overprotective wealthy father in his Manhattan townhouse in the 19th century. Their father, a widower, would rarely let his daughters leave the house, and when they did, they weren't allowed to go far. The furthest he would let them go out would be to ice skate on the 59th Street Pond, located at the southeast section of the park. They enjoyed this tiny slice of freedom so much. Now both siblings unfortunately died spinsters within months of each other in 1880. Around 35 years later, during the First World War, stories started circulating of the two sisters seen gliding over the 59th Street Pond. Now the sightings have occurred frequently ever since, and in all weather. The pond doesn't have to be frozen for this two to skate. The pair are seen in Victoria-era dresses, one wearing red and the other wearing purple. The sisters enjoy such fame as an urban legend that even the New York Times ran an article on them in 1997. Coming into number 2, we have John Lennon and the ghost of the Dakota Building. So just across the road from Central Park is the Dakota Building. It's a New York City landmark. Built in 1884, it was already shrouded in mystery and paranormal whisperings before providing the backdrop to John Lennon's murder in 1980. The former Beatle, of course, was shot outside the front steps by David Chapman. John lived in the building with Yoko Ono, who claims to have seen his ghost sitting in their apartment ever since. She isn't the only one who has seen his apparition either. In 1983, Joey Harrow and Amanda Maud saw him standing at the entrance looking pensive. It seems John is just one of a number of ghosts haunting the famous building. Lennon himself said that he saw a spirit of the crying lady. This is supposed to be the ghost of a former manager of the building. The Dakota is also said to be haunted by the ghost of a young blonde girl in a yellow taffeta dress. Residents of the building to this day still report a lot of strange goings on. Finally, coming into number 1, we have one of the most famous NYC urban legends. Behold the legend of the sewer alligators. In New York City, there has been a legend for decades upon decades that alligators exist in the sewer. The urban legend dates back to the 1930s and goes that wealthy people would bring baby gators back from their trips to Florida and the southeastern states. When the gators got too much for them, they'd simply flush them down the toilet and the snappy chappies would end up in the sewer, where they'd breed with other abandoned pets. In 1932, the New York Times reported an alligator spotted along the Bronx riverbank, and 3 years later, teenagers told news outlets that they saw one crawl out of the sewer. People still claim to see gators in New York City today, despite many refuting the claims. That being said, a 2-foot caiman was caught in Central Park in 2001, so the legend more than prevails. So guys, that was the top 10 scary New York City urban legends. What did you think to this list? Will you be visiting New York City anytime soon? Which of these legends scares you the most? Leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and don't forget to tell me your favorite city in the world. Okay, before I go, I just want to read a few comments from one of my most recent videos. Now, Danny and I did a collaboration on the top 10 scary World Cup stories because we were getting in the spirit of sport. Here is what you guys had to say. Mary Pablo said, "Me finding out Danny and Rebecca made a video together." Then they put loads of faces that kind of look like ducks. And then they continued by saying, "I'm shook. Who else is too?" Sometimes we like to pop into videos. I hope you guys have been enjoying our live streams, by the way, too. LGT Andrew said, "I want more vids with Rebecca and Danny." Cool! I want to do more vids with Danny and Landon as well. I think it's nice when we come together as a team. Fewgrain42 said, "Bacon. I'm all about Team Iceland or Switzerland. Did you know that the Japanese and the Senegalese fans stayed behind to tidy up in the arena? The Senegal-Japan game will be very clean." I didn't know that. Danny told me the thing about the Japanese people, but I didn't know about the Senegalese? How do we say that? I don't know, but it sounds very good of them, and tidying up is good. Although one question, what was the bacon part of your comment about? Finally, Zach Wolf said that they are supporting England because football is, and I quote, "coming home." That is what I hear. So guys, do let me know what you thought to this list, and if you would like more scary urban legends. If you know any for your city, then do let me know. Also, while you're down there leaving me a comment, why don't you hit that thumbs up button, stay subscribed to our channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!